later, I'm in the only room in the house where a boy of 9 could sit in privacy and decode.
And then CNN apologized just a little while ago. They apologized. Oh, thank you, CNN. Thank you so much. You should have been apologizing for the last 2 years. True.
And this just shows you want to know why so many people are skeptical of the media, even on things like Roy Moore. You cannot count out the fact that the media are willing to jump over any barrier in order to get Republicans. They really are. And so when you ask, when the left looks at us and they say on the right, how could you possibly not just credit the media with great reporting when they report something? It's because within 3 hours, half of this stuff gets discredited. Half is a little much, but a certain percentage of the stuff gets discredited. So, for example, there was a report from CNN, and the report from CNN said that on September 4th, there was an email that was sent to the Trump administration, to Donald J. Trump, to Donald Trump Jr., to other members of the administration, and that this email had a key code, a decryption key for Wikileaks that had not yet been released publicly.
Aha, B.
That's a big scandal. If it turns out, then that's one step removed from actual collusion, right? If it turns out that the WikiLeaks people, at the behest of the Russian government, sent a decryption key to the Trump administration and the Trump campaign, and that the Trump campaign used it in order to go in and spy on Hillary Clinton's emails before those things were released publicly, that would look a lot like collusion, would it not?
I went to the next. E. The first word is B. S. It was coming easier now.
The CNN exclusive in the Russia investigation. An electronic trail has emerged showing a possible attempt to share hacked WikiLeaks documents with the Trump campaign.
T. O. Be sure to what?
Let's get right to CNN's Manu Raju with these breaking details. Manu, what have you learned?
Well, John, Donald Trump, his son Donald Trump Jr., and others in the Trump organization, they received an email in September 2016 offering a decryption key and website address for hacked WikiLeaks documents.
The fate of the planet may hang in the balance.
Now, the use of a website and decryption key is a means to provide information. This aligns with past WikiLeaks practices. The idea is that WikiLeaks will post a data file on the internet, but is encrypted and impossible to open without the key. The question here, though, is that did that actually happen here?
Is that someone sent Trump campaign officials essentially the keys to access these WikiLeaks documents, hacked documents in possession of WikiLeaks.
It was almost clear.
And just to be clear, Manu, is there any sign, Donald Trump Jr.'s attorneys deny that he did anything with that information, any sign about whether anyone in the Trump campaign used these keys that were provided to them?
We don't know. We don't have any evidence of that yet.
Yes.
I have two now. CNN's Manu Raju on Capitol Hill with a development. Manu, what do you have?
That's right. We're actually correcting a story that we have been reporting throughout the day today about an email that was sent to the Trump campaign, to then candidate Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and others during the heat of the campaign season. This email included a decryption key.
Be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
And also it's a link to where they could access some of these hacked WikiLeaks documents from the Democratic National Committee. Now, we've been reporting that this email came on September 4th. That was before some of these documents were publicly available, but we have just obtained a copy of this email. And instead, we now learn that this email was on September 14th. So that is 10 days later than what we originally reported earlier today. And this appears to change the understanding of this story. Because initially, it seemed perhaps they were being offered access to documents that were not yet publicly available. But in this email from an individual named Michael Erickson, they do direct the Trump campaign to some publicly available documents. Now, our initial reporting on that September 4th date was based on two sources who had seen this email, but that information was incorrect now based on a copy of the email that we have obtained this afternoon. So, Brooke, it just shows that perhaps the initial understanding of what this email was perhaps is not as significant as what we know now.
It turns out every element of the story is bullcrap. Every single one. So first of all, the email was not sent on September 4th, before the WikiLeaks were leaked. It was sent on September 14th, after they were already public information. You didn't need a decryption key for public information. Number 2, there's no evidence that Donald Trump Jr. or Donald Trump ever saw this email.
A crummy commercial?
Number 3, there's no evidence that the email itself is legit, that it didn't just come from some spammer. So the way that this originally was run, the way the original headline was run, was something like, I want to find, if I can, the actual headline. CNN report, Trump and Trump Jr. got September 2016 email with decryption key. Right, here's what David Wright from CNN tweeted. He tweeted, candidate Donald Trump Jr., and others in the Trump org received email in September 2016 offering a decryption key and website address for hacked WikiLeaks documents, according to email provided to congressional investigators. Right, bombshell. Before any of this was public, they were being offered a special in by WikiLeaks, aka the Russian government. Except again, it turns out it may not have come from the Russian government. There's no evidence Trump looked at it, and the email came 10 days after the initial CNN report said, which means that the email came out after all the information was public. I mean, this is a Brian Ross level screw up. It is a massive, massive screw up.
Son of a...
Somebody needs to get suspended for it at the very least, because to misreport in that dramatic a fashion does a disservice to the Trump administration. Then you wonder why Trump runs around shouting fake news. You wonder why Republicans distrust reporting from places like the Washington Post. You wonder why Republicans have now come to the conclusion that nothing can be trusted. Part of it is because they're taking the message too far, but part of it is because there is a grain of truth, which is that a lot of the media are willing to jump on stories that have not been vetted and are not true in order to promulgate a particular narrative. And this is just the best example of that.
And then CNN apologized just a little while ago. They apologized. Oh, thank you, CNN. Thank you so much. You should have been apologizing for the last 2 years. True.
I went out to face the world again, wiser.
You know, I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news.
Fake news.